Hello, I am Con Bartels, Team Lead at the Center for Urban Wellbeing for Community Recovery and Renewal. I would like to share my reflections on the discussion group session we had on the Research Better Together program, which was about participatory research in social care. Um, and we had a very inspiring presentation by Kelly Hall, Caroline Jackson from the School of Social Policy, and Claire Harewood from the Birmingham Voluntary Sector Council, or BVSC. The Research Better Together program was a collaboration between BVSC and the University of Birmingham to facilitate collaborations in social care between academic researchers and VCSE organizations, voluntary community and social enterprise organizations. Embedded within a wider program of activities to understand needs and build relationships, the Research Better Together program facilitated outreach, networking, training, and mentoring for the academic researchers and the VCSE organizations to work together and build partnerships. 5 partnerships were developed, including an early intervention hub called Birmingham and Solihull Women's Aid. Now, some of the benefits that Kelly, Carolyn, and Claire identified or that emerged from their collaboration were uh, learning how we want to do research together by highlighting the needs of people and communities, generating evidence of the impact and value of VCSE organizations, and sharing power through co-production. At the same time, they also identified barriers, numerous issues with um, uh, university and voluntary community and SE organizations kind of living in two different worlds in terms of the time and capacity to engage in research, and time commitments on both sides, making it hard to really work together in a coordinated, smooth way. And another barrier was that the research often felt more like an add-on rather than being embedded in just how they both worked, what they did, and how they ought to collaborate together. Um, so some of the reflections that Kelly, Carolyn, and Claire shared was um, that facilitating these partnerships was more than just bringing people together and connecting them. It was lots of work involved behind the scenes in terms of building and maintaining relationships and dealing with emergent issues. Secondly, that co-design is good, but a lot more of it is needed, and that you need to deal with different understandings of co-production, what it is and how it works. Um, so some of the questions that they posed to the group were around how can we continue and embed this kind of uh, partnership working, co-production of research as done in the Research Better Together program. So questions around how do we realize ambitions for being equal partners, for it to be genuinely community-led research, and that there is genuine, that it's both understood and experienced as power sharing and community-led. We had a very engaging discussion about this around the role of support networks within which these projects are embedded. So there is uh, University of Birmingham and BVSC are working together on the longer term basis within a wider network, and this project is one part of that. So it's not just a random loose activity, but it is part of a longer term collaboration and change process. Um, uh, we also talked about the tensions involved between taking a ambitious prefigurative approach to co-production and change, and then running into all kinds of pressures that lead you away from this. Um, so we, as academics, often end up leading projects, even though we want to work together on an equal basis due to pressures, limitations in time and capacities. Um, we often end up developing bids without genuine involvement. So this generates some questions around how this can be supported by universities, by funders who need to resource these kind of periods of bid development so that it can be done in a generally co-produced way. So that's an important implication, something to think about how that can be given shape. We also talked about the importance of relationship building before projects, that a lot of time needs to go into that, and that often the time isn't quite there, and then you don't start on the right footing, or you can't really start any project without having the relationships in place. So recognizing that, and then the Research Better Together program enabled that. That was exactly the point of it, to enable that relationship building in the lead up to projects, and that is something that needs to be taken into consideration with any type of community engaged research. That time needs to be there before the project, during the project. There's lots of building and maintaining of relationships, but also afterwards there needs to be ongoing maintenance of relationships as part of ongoing wider collaborations. And the final issue we reflected upon was on a lot of micro issues that create uh, challenges in collaborating, and are quite tedious to deal with, very time consuming, such as having to deal with parking fees at campus, how to pay for expenses uh, of participants in these collaborations, and the university processes are not really very accommodating for that. Um, so those were my reflections. I hope you found that helpful. And if you have any reflections, questions, or issues in response, please do get in touch.